Hi, we are Group 55 and today we're going to present a case study about UNIQLO. About the company context, the company used a vertical integrated SPA model to control production and sales, offering consistent quality while enabling fast response to trends. To make this big work in stores, UNIQLO develops leaders through the UNIQLO Management Candidate Program, an intensive 6 to 12 month pathway that trains employee. In our guest session, talent development manager described being trained in Japan, Singapore before opening Australian stores. UNIQLO now emphasizes teaching the philosophy behind routines rather than merely translating manuals, alongside global discussion that prepare expat leaders to adapt to local norms again. The problem analysis leader A's rigid rules, mandating exact voting and time control even in quiet periods, conflict with the team's needs for autonomy, while fast retailing human rights policy commits UNIQLO to manage hours, overtime, and wages per local law. Saying less seen as dedication in Japan is viewed in Australia as harming work-life balance. Over time, there must be operationally justified with notice and employee agreement compensation. The core issue is leader a Japan-centric style plus a Japan-Australia cultural clash. The problem statement is Uniqlo faced challenges in adapting its strict, top-down Japanese management style to the Australian market, leading to employee dissatisfaction and disengagement, particularly due to micromanagement and misalignment with local work culture. About the literature we use. Firstly, is transformational leadership. Uniqlo leaders often fall short on individualized consideration and intellectual simulation. Next one is situational leadership. Show the need for leaders to flex their style based on team maturity. Transformational leadership highlights the need to motivate employees beyond transactional rewards. It focuses on personal growth and engagement. Emotional intelligence will help Uniqlo's leaders improve relationships. It allows them to understand and manage the emotions of team members. Self-determination helps employees show higher quality motivation when work satisfies autonomy, competence, and relatedness. Controlling leadership frustrates these needs and dampens initiative. Organization socialization help newcomers internalize norms through onboarding, mentoring tactics, and habit theory repeated cue routine reward loops driver everyday performance. Small consistent practices become automatic, persist under pressure.
UNIQLO highlight the teamwork it fast organizational structure where employees are encouraged to set the suggestions. This aligns with the company Gen in K principle or everyone management, which encourage people to regard their positions to think and act like a managerial mindset. Recognition systems such as the best staff award further they highlight the UNIQLO commitment to the motivating them employees. However, at one of their branch, UNIQLO Queens Bay Mall, the leadership style observed is autocratic. Leadership retain full control, set strict rule, and expect compliance with little input from the employees. For example, staff are required to full clock before the end of the shift, yet they are ready to tell why this standard is important, why this still ensure the discipline and consistency. It's also trying to restrict the creativity, lower their motivations. By having a clear rules and structure, the current approach does not fully support creativity, motivations, and collaboration. So we suggest that to adopt the hybrid transformational transaction leadership style. This approach maintains their operational standards while empowering employees, create a balance between structure and engagement. By combining discipline with inspiration, leaders can motivate staff more effectively, encourage and participate. So the first action is to explain why behind standards. If leader clearly connect tasks like folding clothes of Uniqlo, the mission, their positive customer experience, employee can gain more purpose. This aligns with the self-determination theory, boosting competence and motivations. The second action is to encourage participant initiative. One way is to by introduce rotating service champions role. Each week, a staff member suggests a small improvement to enhance their customer service and contributions are recognized. This practice reflects their global strategy of teamwork and their principle. From theoretical perspective, this action draws on emotional intelligence. This is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage one's own emotions while still influence the emotion of the other. Using emotional intelligence in participant channels allow leaders to balance control, to uphold brand standards, to respect employee input and local expectations. By combining these actions, leader can transform a culture of micromanagement into one that motivates employees, strengthen teamwork, and improve their customer-centric performance. Research shows that engaged in team achieve 10% higher customer loyalty, 18% more sales productivity, and 23% greater profitability.
Secondly, is reducing power distance. Fast retailing's principle is simple but powerful, always do everything possible for our customers and achieve strong results through diversity and teamwork. However, in when Uniqlo already has that policy, the problem continues in Australia because some Japanese leaders bring their home country style of high control and strict rules, which is the contrast between Japanese high power distance and Australian low power distance. Another big reason this problem keeps happening is over standardization. As was confirmed in a recent industry guest talk, a directive one by one management style can directly harm motivation in a real world setting especially when staff view their role as temporary. Therefore, our entire solution is built on the principles of transformational leadership. Leader A will keep the global service value chain the way it's reached in line with the fast retailing way. He shifts from control to transformational leadership so that employees feel more trust and less micromanaged, which leave autonomy and initiative as people propose solutions and act sooner without waiting for top-down direction. Thereby, it can reduce the power distance between the leader and the employees. Next is to action to support my recommendations. Balance standard and autonomy. This is a balance between structure and freedom. UNIQLO still can keep the non-negotiables but gives employees more say in how they do the job. That is identified by Hofstede framework. Japan's style values top-down control and Australia's cultural values independence. It makes employees feel more trusted and less micromanaged, which boosts motivation and morale, while Uniqlo's customer service quality remains consistent across markets. The second action is lead with participation. Instead of daily meetings being one-way instructions, Leader A should turn them into real discussions where staff ideas are heard and valued. According to Hofstede, in Japan's high-power distant culture, strict supervision is normal, but in Australia it feels like it's micromanagement. By changing style, Leader A aligns with local expectations. Long-term, this creates engage, motivates staff who stay longer and take ownership of delivering Uniqlo's high customer service standard without needing constant supervision.
Moving on to our third recommendation, which is work-life balance clarity. Uniqlo already has strong policies to support employee well-being, including engagement surveys, overtime prevention programs, and clear standards on hours and breaks. On paper, these policies are well developed and align with international and national laws. However, in practice, Australian staff still report unpredictable overtime, showing a clear policy practice gap. And when we look deeper, Hostip helps explain why. Comparing uncertainty avoidance in Japan and Australia, Japan received a highest uncertainty avoidance in 92, meant little, managed risk through strict control and overtime, where staying late signals loyalty and normal. In contrast, Australia values autonomy, flexibility, and balance, and they see staying late at poor time management, proven by their 51 uncertainty avoidance. And this cultural mismatch turns discipline into micromanagement, which reduces trust, motivation, and trust satisfaction. Now that we have identified a policy practice gap and cultural mismatch, our solution is to operationalize Uniqlo existing policy through leadership clarity with two key actions. The first is ensuring fairness with individualized consideration. When overtime is unavoided, it should be compensated, whether through penalty pay or recognition like early finishes or team meals. This is supported by authentic leadership theory. Reciprocity counters Japanese overtime norms and reflects Australian principles of fairness. And the second is protecting rest breaks. Leaders should ensure every employee has access to legal rest and meal breaks. Also encourage micro breaks to sustain energy. This aligns with fair work standards and demonstrate balance between well-being and service. And together, these actions make policy real in daily practice and create a supportive workforce that sustain Uniqlo service standards while closing the policy practice gap.
This party outline chart from July to December is split into two parts, the normal and the hiring season. The first group is hiring season from September to December. During recruitment peak, the first week is reserved for orientation so new staff can understand both what to do and why this matters. This early timing strengthened internal motivation and smoother compliance as highlighted by organizational socialization and self-determination theory. In addition, standards are reinforced while autonomy is introduced gradually, scheduled in week 1 and 3 of each month. Over 2 quarters, this steadily Ryan help employees from habit, reduce resistance, and build trust, which in turn supports stronger retention and higher service quality. Quarterly cycle is a second group which involve encouraging participants once of every 3 months in the first month of each quarter. Employees are invited to propose and test new idea. This quarterly Ryan avoid overload while providing space to apply Kaizen and plan to check out or BDCI principle. Each cycle allows for experimentation, reflection, and refinement. Over time, this builds initiative, creativity, and adaptability. The last group, continuous practice, which involve participation, fairness, and well-being. Some action run without interruption across the entire period. Participation forum are held in week 1 and 3 to aim the consultative leadership and align with Australian expectation of involvement. Fairness in overtime allocation and compensation is monitored across two trading cycle, giving enough time to demonstrate consistency and credibility. Meanwhile, rest breaks are protected throughout the line with a fair work, standard, and Uniqlo human rights policy. The continuous application of this measure reduce burnout, promote loyalty, and strengthen collaboration and innovation. The plan can bring Uniqlo made for all to life by empowering staff, delighting customers, and driving sustainable growth. So it's time to act.